Our first guest today tested positive for COVID-19 exactly a year ago, March 25th, 2020, and became one of the first in Niagara to share his story of recovery. Carmine Posteraro is also a recovering addict, and he joins us to talk about both of those recoveries. Carmine, welcome to The Source.
Thank you for having me.
Let's focus on a year ago and coming down with COVID, testing positive. That must have been a shock.
Yeah, absolutely it was. I was finishing up a 6-month treatment program in a facility for addiction, and just as they were sending everybody home for COVID, I was finishing up the program. I was excited to come home to start my life over, and 2 days after I got home, I got a call from the center saying that a staff member had tested positive and that I should get myself tested. Now, at the time, I wasn't feeling well, but I didn't have a fever. And at that time, a lot of people said you needed fever was a prevalent symptom of it. So, I was sick. I went and got tested. I progressively was getting worse and worse every day. Finally, my mother said, I'm calling an ambulance. I was hesitant to take an ambulance because I had taken a few rides in an ambulance previously, and but I gave in, and she called the ambulance. I arrived at the hospital. Within 5 minutes of being at the hospital, I was intubated because my oxygen saturation levels were so low that they intubated me right away. I walked to the ambulance. I thought that I would go in there to get treatment for something, but not. I didn't think that I would be in a coma for 12 days. So I was in a coma for 12 days, and at that time they had to prone me, which means they kind of hang you off the bed to help me breathe. And I woke up. That's how I got the scar from the mask of the prone. And I woke up 12 days later. Didn't know where I was. I had been taken to Niagara Falls Hospital, but I woke up in St. Catharines, and it was just a shocking ordeal.
And this is just as life seems to be turning around for you.
Yeah. Just as I'm picking up, I had some clean time under my belt, and I was feeling really good. And I just got home and ready to start my new life, and just thinking I was sick, I had a cold or something like that, but I didn't know that. I never would have thought that I would have went through what I did for the last year.
You point to the scar, but there's also some long-lasting effects right now with your lungs, with your leg.
There is.
Why is that the case? Have doctors talked to you about that?
Sometimes they call them long-timers, and you deal with the COVID side effects for some time, and it's slowly gotten better. My lung capacity, my breathing is getting better, and like I mentioned, I have a big swath on my leg that's numb, but it's getting better. I've honestly haven't felt this good in a long time.
When did you first know that you were addicted to drugs and alcohol?
So for 20 years, I've been a bartender here in Niagara Falls, and I went to university. There's a lot of other things I could have did, but I was really good at it. And that lifestyle, you're making easy money every day. You're dealing with people having a good time, and then it kind of rubs off on you, and that kind of got the ball started with alcohol. That led to drugs, to harder drugs, and then finally fentanyl. Fentanyl was my worst dealing with. I mentioned it in my speech for the center that in Niagara in 2018 there were about 400 overdoses. 5 of them were me. So addiction is something that just creeps up on you. It grabs a hold of you, and you don't know it before it's too late. And luckily, I survived, and I'm still here to tell my story. And we're trying now to help other people through addiction. I've joined this company called Touched by Addiction. It's a Canadian company that we sell merchandise, and we use the proceeds to send people to rehab. To date, we've sent 4 people to rehab in just a few months, and we're looking for our next attendee to be from Niagara. So we'd like to find somebody from Niagara.
You sell the clothing, you sell the t-shirts, the hoodies, the hats, and
yes,
that helps to fund people's trips to rehab. Who funded yours?
Well, my parents did, but to go to Teen Challenge, which is where I went, it's a faith-based rehab facility. It costs $40,000 a year to go, but through the donations from other Christians and whatnot, it costs you $1,000 a year to go. So we're trying to send people to Teen Challenge, to where we went. The company was started by 2 friends of mine that I went to rehab with, so we're trying to send people there, and we covered that $1,100 fee.
Do you feel that your addictions in the past, along with your diabetes, may have complicated your struggle with COVID?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the lifestyle I led, and not taking care of my body, and just abusing myself, probably had a lot to do with me contracting COVID. I mean, I never would have ended up in the center if it wasn't for that. So but the complications that definitely came along with it, I believe that it's a lot of rooted issues that I had.
How difficult is it now to stay clean after all of this?
People talk about how crazy this last year has been, but for me, it's been the most normal year because I haven't been out lying, cheating, and stealing, and I haven't been out, so it's been a pretty tame year for me. Staying clean is something that I take very seriously. Through Touch by Addiction, I get to talk to other addicts who are reaching out, who are in a hard place right now and maybe don't have anybody to talk to, and they can reach out through the website, and we talk to them. Just a few of us right now. We talk to them and we tell them that we know how it is and what it's like to go through.
Currently then, for you, COVID times are actually a boost to you staying clean, but we've heard a lot of stories locally about the increase in fentanyl addictions and
Absolutely.
overdoses. And so it's very difficult for others who have not been through the rehab to kick those addictions during this time, I would imagine.
It's the tools that you get in the rehab. It's the coping mechanisms. Like I said, I went to a faith-based. It's that love of that faith in God that helps me get through the day, and also talking to other addicts and other former addicts, and just having our group meetings where everybody talks and shares their story. It keeps you grounded.
You've made some headway into reestablishing your links to your family and friends since you've been clean?
Absolutely. I damaged a lot of relationships when I was using, and now those links are great. Right now, my sister asked me to be the godfather to my nephew, and I'm very close to my family again, and it's just it's really precious, something very precious to keep.
Carmine, how can people find out more about Touch by Addiction?
They can visit the website at touchedbyaddiction.ca, on Instagram at touchedbyaddiction, at Facebook we have an account, and we have group meetings every Thursday night if anybody was ever interested or wanted to reach out.
Thanks for joining us today, Carmine.